Today's episode of the Woj Pod is brought to you by Freshly. Getting a quality dinner on the table every night doesn't have to be so hard. Freshly chefs send you delicious, freshly prepared meals so you can eat better without any of the work, no cooking or cleanup required. Delivered to your door fresh, their meals are ready when you are. Freshly chefs and nutritionists make sure that every meal is nutritious and made with high-quality, all-natural ingredients. So now you can come home late and still have a delicious chef-cooked meal waiting for you. Try Freshly and you'll see what it's like to put zero effort into making dinner. Go to freshly.com/Woj to get $25 off your first order of 6 meals. That's $25 off plus free shipping at freshly.com/Woj. Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Woj Pod here in Cleveland on site of the NBA Finals with Utah Jazz rookie star Donovan Mitchell. We talk about his first season with the Jazz, emerging as a star in this league, and a pretty amazing journey from just a year ago where Mitchell wondered whether he even should enter the NBA draft to a player now Utah plans to build an entire franchise around. So here's my conversation with Utah Jazz star Donovan Mitchell. Donovan, what's up?
Not much. Out here at the finals, having a good time.
You're doing like the media tour.
Yeah, I'm a media. I'm taking your job.
Yeah, I know one thing. I can't take yours. So, since the season ended, EuroLeague Final Four, your camp in Connecticut, finals. You've seen a lot of playoff basketball, EuroLeague playoff basketball, and NBA now finals. But you got deep into it. What has the last 2 months been like?
It's been a whirlwind. The whole playoff series, winning Game 6, of course, losing to Houston, the injury, and then having to not play basketball for a month is probably the hardest thing I've done in a long time. But it's been crazy. And then I went to my vacation, just went to relax, and went to the EuroLeague Final Four. It was really exciting. The environment was incredible. The way they chanted and we're going back and forth with the fans was pretty sweet. Came back, went to Greece. Greece was beautiful. It was incredible. They love basketball too out there. I was able to surprise a few guys on the court and kind of just, I wish I could play, but just kind of go out there and they had a little dunk contest. It was pretty cool.
Did you win the dunk contest?
Oh, I didn't get to.
That's right.
I had the boot on.
Yeah. I want to talk some about that, but you talk about playing Houston. Like, is there a moment in that Houston series where you're going toe-to-toe with Harden and you're in the second round of the playoffs and you're thinking, like, 9 months ago, I didn't even think I should be in the draft. And 3 months ago, we're like 10 games under 500 and I'm on a lottery team. Was there a part of you going, how did I get here?
That was pretty much how I'm looking at it now towards after the season. Now it's like, how are we even in this spot? How are we doing this? We all believed, but I don't think we knew second round, to be honest. I think that's what kind of took us all by surprise. But, man, I think, after OKC, I think that was probably the only time during the season where I was, like, able to reflect on something. I usually just kind of focus on the next task ahead. After OKC, we really, as a team, we really just, like, reflected on it. I think Ricky, Joe, and I went to sleep at like 4 a.m. We're tweeting at each other like 3 a.m. Meanwhile, we had to play Houston on that Sunday at 1 o'clock, an early game. So it was an amazing experience.
Because what happened with you guys this year, it doesn't normally go that way. Like, a rookie doesn't come out of nowhere, the back end of the lottery, and dominate the way you did. A team doesn't come from that far back in the standings, get a couple guys healthy. It almost felt like a college team that got on a run. Yeah. And you've been on those in college. Is that a little what
it felt like? It's just like a, I guess you could say like it was like a joyride. We just got hot and we never looked back. And the bigger part of it was Rudy coming back. Rudy coming back solidified our defense on the back end and, just played our hearts out, played together as a unit. And the biggest thing that I'm happy with is we're not done. Like, this is not it. It's not like, we'll be good this year and the next year we'll just be happy we made it last year. We want to do much more than we did this year, for myself personally, for everybody as a team. And I think that that's our mindset. And I think that mindset that we have will help us, get better and continue to do better.
Your relationship with Quin Snyder and the way he kind of just sort of remade that team on the fly. Like, you had injuries, and then I think he kept giving you more and more. It wasn't all there day one. I think his trust in you and his belief that you could do more. Guys have loved playing for him. I think anybody who's been in the league I think even Gordon saw, like, Gordon got better every year there. They built a system around him the way they're building it around you. You played for a great college coach, Rick Pitino. What makes Quin unique? What is it about that place that it seems like he gets the most, not just out of the individual, but the parts? It makes the parts fit.
He's a player's coach. He's genuine. He's wholesome, which is not easy to find. And I've noticed that. Guys who he's selfless. He's not worried. Sometimes coaches are concerned about their job security. You know what I mean? And he's worried about our security, which is the complete opposite. I think that's what players love. He's a genuine guy. As far as player development goes, he, game planning wise, I've never seen a coach besides Coach Pitino pay such attention to little details. I've had the opportunity of watching the two practices from Cleveland and Golden State, and ours is ran completely differently, even throughout the playoffs. It's more so like a college atmosphere, but obviously we don't practice for 3-4 hours, but like the attention to detail is so small. Whether if we're walking through, if we're 3 inches off where we're supposed to be, he'll let us know and we'll redo it. I think that it drills in your head that you got to be in the right spot at the right times, and if one person messes up, then we all mess up. You know what I mean? So I think that builds that relationship and that chemistry throughout the team.
Donovan, at what point did you get where you started to believe, like you said, I remember this time last year, you were trying to get opinions around the NBA about whether you should stay in the draft. I remember there were teams in the back end in the 20s saying, yeah, we're going to draft him if he's in. I don't know if Rick Pitino was telling you that, but he was not telling you that. He's
told me that I had to, like, in order for me to leave, he wanted me to be a lottery pick. That was the goal. And at the time when I left, what was that? I wasn't a lottery pick, was I? I don't think so. I think it was 20th, 24 was the highest that I had heard at that time. I think it was OKC was the highest that I had been hearing at that point in time. At 22. Yeah, so, like, took a leap of faith. I bet on myself. Never really done that, to be honest with you. I've always been secure, make sure I have my surroundings. But this was like, if this doesn't work, you really what do you have to turn to? 2 years of college, you leave. So now it's my first really real jump of leap of faith, and fortunately it turned out to be great, but at that time I was still trying to gather opinions from people, and I went to CAA, pay for my trip out to LA for 5 days, and within the first week I decided I was ready to stay. Obviously you've heard the story with CP, PG, and then Don McLean. They really convinced me, to go into the draft, and now to go from that to be here, it's insane.
When you saw what happened at Louisville after you left, I mean, was it even more of a relief that you didn't have to live through that debacle?
I wouldn't call it a relief. I would think it was scary, because those are my friends, those are my guys, and to see that happen through all that, I felt bad. I felt bad when I regretted my decision, but I just felt bad. Like, man, those are my guys, and it's tough to leave a group like that when guys are so close-knit. We live in the same dorm. We have our own dorm. But at the same time, I guess you could say relieved, feel relieved that you made this decision, that, man, like, timing is everything. Timing is incredible, and God works in mysterious ways.
Was there a moment this season or maybe a period of time where you felt like you crossed over into something else as a player, whether it was belief, whether it was Quin giving you more? In the sense I always got with your teammates, where there's certain situations where they want to hold a rookie back. Guys want to, for their own roles, and sort of squash it. And the sense I always got with Joe Ingles, Ricky, Rudy, it was like, kid, do more, like, carry us. Like, was all that happen at once?
I wouldn't say at once. The beginning of the year, I was trying to find my way. Rodney Hood played a huge instrumental part into my development, as far as getting used to whether it's the rotation or the play calls or anything ball being at the 2 spot, because he had been through it for so long. So he knew what coach wanted. He knew when coach was screaming what he was really saying. He listened to the message as opposed to the tone, So he helped me out with that. And then as far as after he left, I was Joe, Ricky, Rudy, Thabo, Jay, Crowder, Epe Udo, like those guys, I really turned to all of them and just asked them questions, like nonstop, just asked them questions. And they really gave me the green light to like make mistakes, and when I made mistakes, they let me know how to fix it and how to not make those mistakes again. And I think in this league, as you know, it's not always the case. Whether a rookie's doing their thing, or some vets are like, I'm doing my own thing. I'm trying to get paid essentially. I'm not worried about your development. I'm trying to do my own thing. So for that to happen is pretty special.
Most rookies just are trying to figure out like how to fit in, like how do I make an impact in the league? And when all of a sudden you go from a player like on the edge of the lottery to a rookie of the year, really one or two in everyone's minds, and a guy now leading his team through the playoffs, like what did you learn about like what's asked of a star in this league? Like you start to get a feeling of what it means to be a franchise player, like that greater responsibility that most guys don't start to feel till their third or fourth year maybe of your caliber. Yeah, it was happening
you
right away.
You realize that there are no such thing as off nights. You can't have them. You hold yourself to a higher standard. I've always done that naturally, so I think that played it. It was easier for me to kind of adjust to that because I expected a lot more than anybody else expected of myself. So you learn that, you score 20 a game, like that's what we need tonight. That's what the team needs. A guy that I look up to like CP, he's more of a assist guy. But, look at Dame, who I've gotten close to as well. Like Dame, like he goes out, he averages 25, 26. That's what you need tonight. You can't give him anything less because that's your contribution. That's what you do. And I try to do a lot more than just be the 20-point guy. I try to be a better passer, become a better three-point shooter, be a better defender. There's so many different things I want to work on. But, like, that was the one thing I realized, like, that's your role. You have to be a master at it for all 82. You can't be, for this 45, I'm going to do this, and then for the next however many games, I'm going to do that. You got to be consistent throughout your year.
Those older star players in the league that you got to know pre-draft, Paul George, Chris Paul, the kinds of questions you were asking them before the season, when you would see guys later in the year and you started to figure this thing out, were the questions you were asking people about kind of what was coming or what you were going through, were they changing? Were you really wanting to know this kind of speeding along the whole thing?
A lot of it definitely did change. My first questions were, Chris Paul, he beat me and Luke Kennard in a drill, and Ty remembers this, without dribbling, to 5 from the elbow. So that was my first welcome to the NBA moment, and I was like, okay, I don't think if he's doing this, I'm first team all defense at Louisville, so I take pride in it. I'm ready. And Luke's first team all ACC, so I'm like, he just beat both of us without taking a dribble. So I'm like, am I even ready for this? Am I doing the right thing? And then it turned from, am I ready for this, to, man, I just scored 41 points and had a crazy game. How do you bounce back? How do you respond and keep that up? How do I keep that up and not let it go away? And then it came to, I won one Rookie of the Month, and him telling me that's not what we're here for. That's not why you're in the league. You're in the league for one thing, it's a championship. To later on the season, picking your spot, slowing the game down, how to be more poised in late game situations. To the playoffs, well, we didn't really talk second round, but first round it was like, and I didn't talk to PG much first round, but it was like when we played an OKC series, we lost game 1, won game 2. After game 2, I think I had 27-26 or whatever it had been. So I'm like, immediately went to Chris, and I was like, all right, if you're regarding me, if you're playing against me, why I just scored 26-27, I'm playing well. What do you do in game 3 to stop me? What do you do in game 4 to stop me? What do you do in game 5 to stop me? And I think those type of questions developed throughout the year. So I think they became more mature questions and questions that we didn't think would ever arise until, like you said, year 3, year 4.
The level of, you talk about, you score 41 and you're saying to yourself, what? How do I do it again? How do I keep the mindset? And that's what the great ones have, because there are a lot of guys in the league who scored 40 points in a game and then they're satisfied to not do it again. Is that what you sort of see, that there's a ferocity? Chris has it as much as anybody, right? That you've just got to bring every day. And it is hard to do over 82. You played, 90 plus games this year.
It is. It's definitely tough to bring that fire and that energy. But, I've been one that, I'm not trying to be – I've been saying this my whole life like I has been. He was good in his time, or he was good for that short period of time. I want to be good for a long time. That's my goal. I want to be so that my kids, bring up. I want to be that leave a name and leave a legacy. I don't want to be good for 2 or 3 years. I want to continue to keep it going. And having guys like Chris and PG in my corner is definitely a good start. I can ask them many questions on how they maintain their longevity in this league. But yeah, I just really want to be able to do it as much as possible, to do what I've been doing and excel and do more and carry a lot more as throughout my years and hopefully get better.
Today's episode of the Woj Pod is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Hiring used to be hard. Multiple job sites, stacks of resumes, a confusing review process. But today, hiring can be easy, and you only have to go to one place to get it done. ZipRecruiter.com/Woj, W-O-J. ZipRecruiter sends your job to over 100 of the web's leading job boards, but they don't stop there. With their powerful matching technology, ZipRecruiter scans thousands of resumes to find people with the right experience and invite them to apply for your job. As applications come in, ZipRecruiter analyzes each one and spotlights the top candidates so you never miss a great match. ZipRecruiter is so effective that 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. With results like that, it's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the highest rated hiring site in America. And right now, my listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Woj, W-O-J. That's ZipRecruiter.com/Woj, W-O-J. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. When you got drafted and came in, and then Gordon Hayward leaves pretty quickly after the draft into free agency, what was the hangover like there? You're coming into a place where it was like, maybe this group can be the 8th seed. Maybe we can get in the playoffs. And people were down that they couldn't keep a player like that re-sign. What did you find when you walked in the door there?
I didn't find a team that thought about rebuilding at all, which to me personally was a shock. I was like, wow, that's impressive. That an organization loses their best player, their starting point guard, their backup point guard, and Boris Diaw. So people always look at they lost Gordon Hayward. They lost 3 starters. So for that to happen and to bring in the group that we had, it just showed that we were ready to keep going and to continue to build what we have. And I think there was no real feeling when Gordon left. I didn't know what to feel. I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. I was just like, okay, they're leaving. We're probably going to get somebody in free agency. Didn't end up getting someone that we had wanted, but we got what we needed. With Thabo coming in, Thabo taught me so many things off the floor, on the floor. Ricky's been my guy throughout, as you know, throughout the entire season. He's helped me play in the point guard spot. Jonas Jerebko, guys, Royce O'Neal, myself, guys who add Tony Bradley, guys who add a spark to what we need and continue to be the team that we need to be instead of going south and expecting just to build up from there.
The respect you have for veteran players and the way you defer to Joe Ingles and guys who've been in the league, Rudy, how much of that do you think comes from having grown up around the Mets clubhouse and watching a young David Wright interact with teammates? Did that sort of shape how you viewed how a young player fits into a group?
I think David's a good example. Watching David, because I've seen a lot of guys throughout the league in MLB who I thought or should have been stars, but they don't listen. That was the one thing I always heard. They don't listen. There were guys in the AAU system that I grew up playing with, great, 10 times better than me, didn't listen. Many All-Star games that I've played in high school, guys who were really good didn't listen. That was the constant theme. Didn't listen, did things their own way, got cocky, So my thing was, I can't do that. I can't be another one of those guys that's like, all right, I'm not going to listen. So for me, it was big. My biggest thing was the older guys know, they've been here, they've done it. In order for me to continue my success, I have to listen. I have to be someone who listens, and it may not always be what I want to hear, but it is the right thing that I need to hear. And I think that developed just from my childhood. My mom telling me that 1,000 times, you just need to listen. I left public school, went to private school, didn't know anybody in private school. I didn't want to do it, but it was the best thing for me. So I think that's just the respect that I have for people who are older than me.
Greenwich Country Day. Yeah. You went there as a sophomore.
Greenwich Country Day.
What was that like walking in first day of school?
I make the joke. My friend CJ Tyler and Brian Jordan, one of my, what we called a play date back then. You went to their house and you would go and just chill for a little bit. So I went over there, and these were some of the biggest houses I've ever seen. And I never told them the story, so hopefully if they see this, it'll be the first time they hear this. I never told them. I get into the house, and I got lost like 4 straight times just trying to find the bathroom. And I'm like, man, like this is not what I'm used to. This is different. Like I'm the only, like, one of the few African American kids there. It was a completely different experience for me, but I made my best friends going to school there. I'm friends with all those guys, CJ and Brian, to this day. So it's really cool to have friendships like that, and it taught me so much. It taught we did public speaking from at an early age, learned how to write script, little things that you wouldn't know contributes in like the real world. I learned that at such a young age. So when I got to college, when I got to high school, I was like, oh, we already did this. Like, this is simple. This is easy. Public speaking, I didn't realize how much it would help me with, well, what I'm doing now, speaking in front of kids and crowds. And, man, that school is incredible.
That time in your life where, and you talked about it, like, you weren't a star. You were like the third best player on, like, a pretty good AAU team. Like, you weren't on, like, a national power. And you see this, the comparison a lot of people have made with you is Dwayne Wade. That was the first thing when you started out early. A top assistant coach in the league said to me after you lit them up, like, I just saw Dwayne Wade. He's Dwayne Wade. And that was a comparison, and except maybe shot it better. Dwayne's a late bloomer. Like, there's certain guys who it's hard when you are the guy at 13 or 14. That's why, to me, LeBron, it's even more remarkable what he's done because he was identified so young. And guys lose hunger, and he never did, right? Like, there's a pattern with guys like you that it did not come easy, and you don't take it for granted.
You don't. And, I was ranked around 42nd in the final ESPN thing, and that was the biggest accomplishment to me. And I didn't realize until right around now in college that all that stuff at that young age doesn't mean anything. And if that's one thing I could tell the kids, going through it now, like, those videos, the Twitter, Instagram followers, the rankings, like, none of that means anything. You look at Westbrook, Klay Thompson, those guys weren't even McDonald's All-Americans. I wasn't, so it's not the end-all be-all if you're, like, up there. And that's the one thing I've learned, and that's my message to a lot of kids going through this high school stuff, because if you continue to work and continue to be a dog, CJ McCollum, another one, Damian Lillard, I don't think he was a McDonald's All-American. If you continue to work and trust and have faith in yourself, then that's all you need. You don't really need anybody else's approval to say that you're the best and to say that you're good. As long as you believe it in yourself and continue to be humble and continue working, then you'll be good, and you'll be, somebody will find you. Like, they have scouts that were with me in Serbia. I have never been to Serbia, and there were tens of thousands of scouts. Like, so if you're good, they'll find you and they'll know where to go. You
went over to the EuroLeague playoffs after the Jazz were eliminated. Serbia is always, I've never been there, and you talk to guys who go there, there's a hunger to those players, there's an intensity. You feel that there?
For sure. The first thing I noticed was there were basketball hoops everywhere. It reminded me of New York City. It's like, man, like, the kids love playing basketball, and it's just that feeling that they want to play, they want to get better, and they're tall. Everybody in Serbia is tall. I don't know what's in the water out there, but they're all like they're born 6 feet. It's crazy, but, like, they love the game, and I think that's what's lost in today's basketball here in the U.S. because, like, some people just do it for Instagram and Twitter and videos. Like, you really genuinely miss guys that love the game, and I think that really surprised me when I went over there, how much people really love the game.
Like, even now, and I wonder if you see it, I see it all the time, you go by playgrounds, and they're empty. Guys don't just go and play. It's like
Fortnite's ruining everything. Except Fortnite.
It's ruined a lot in my house. And I see it like kids want to, all right, I'm going to go shoot on the gun for an hour. I'm going to go do a workout. And it's like, I think what's lost, when I spent a year with Bob Hurley Sr. and did a book on them, and he would always talk about the difference between, like, when Bobby Hurley played his kids, David Rivers, like, great guards he had, was like they would go all day to the playground, and you would, when you're in the playground and you're just playing, like, you can start to go out of your comfort zone. You can take chances. And that's how you get better. You can throw the ball out of bounds. You can try something. But when you're always playing either travel basketball and they're keeping score where you're just going to go to your strengths all the time.
You can't work on it.
But there's just like Hurley used to call them, my point guards are like shut-ins now. They're like robots. And they don't have, it was the generation, they don't go out, they're playing video games, or there's something, your game has that, like you improvise, and I just think, like you said, the guys who want to play, they go play.
Mm-hmm. I think it starts at a young age. I don't think, to my recollection, and my mama can confirm this, I didn't go out to a party on the weekend until my last year in high school. Like at all. Just because I was either in the gym, had a tournament, was doing something. And I think that's lost in a lot of kids nowadays. Everybody wants to be distracted, I think video games is a big one too, but like I said, the love is just different. I would be in my backyard playing basketball all day. I didn't do anything else. I would dribble a basketball and play baseball. Those were my two things. I was so busy that I didn't have time to do anything else, and then my friends always be like, come hang over. Like, I can't. I'm going to play basketball. I'm going to my baseball tournament. I don't think that's the case anymore. And I think that's one of those things when I went over to Europe and I saw that, and it was like, it's completely different. You could see it. Like, you could just see it in someone's eyes, like when they actually love basketball. You throw them a basketball, a kid starts dribbling. You throw a basketball to a kid here, pick it up and hold it and dribble and then just throw it right back to you. The kid wouldn't give me the ball back. He went to go shoot and back in Serbia. So I think it's a lost thing in the U.S. And I think those guys who are really committed and love playing basketball is a select few.
And the thing that Jazz guys, in talking to Quinn early on and Dennis Lindsay and Justin Zanuck and Joe Ingles, when we were talking about you early when you got there, was they talked about your concentration level. And you just said it, like a lot of young guys come and you go in the locker room and guys are grabbing their phones and looking, and they're not like it's just a generation. I'm guilty of it, but there is something to mentally being there, and I'm not sure a lot of your peers, they all have that.
I think, for me, coming into this season was especially it's your first year. You don't know anything. This is uncharted territory. You have no one in your family's done it. No one has done this, and you need to pay all in. And I'm not saying I'm going to change. I'm not wanting to change, but I think, like I said, social media is a hell of a drug. It is. I'm on it a lot. But in the same right, I'm still in the gym. I'm getting lifts in. I'm getting work in, but it's one of those things that I put my 100% of my concentration in what is being told to me, so I can be the best. One guy I've watched incredibly a lot is Kobe, and I was never a Kobe fan growing up. I was all Team LeBron. That was it. That was the debates we'd have in school. And I get to the league, and the first thing I notice is his mentality, his concentration, his work ethic is unmatched. And that's why him and Russell Westbrook, those two guys, their work ethic is unmatched. And I think that goes back to that older generation of, just locking in and concentrating and focus on the task at hand. And then when you're done with that, then you can go handle the other stuff.
Today's episode of the Woj Pod is brought to you by Full Sail University. Full Sail University combines hands-on learning, immersive projects, and faculty with real-world experience to prepare students for life in the media industry. And for the Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting, they brought in some of sports media's best to be a part of this program. Longtime ESPN producer and multi-Emmy winner Gus Ramsey is heading up the program, and sportscasting pros such as Sage Steele, Jay Harris, Bill Simmons, and many more are involved. Students will learn sportscasting inside and out, on camera, behind the camera, podcasting, radio, interviewing, and everything in between. At Full Sail University's Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting, you can earn a bachelor's degree in about half the time, as short as 20 months. And you can choose to earn your degree online or on Full Sail's campus in Orlando, Florida. To learn more about Full Sail University's Dan Patrick School of Sportscasting, go to www.fullsail.edu/Woj. That's fullsail.edu/Woj. You talk about that team you have in Utah and this core you have going forward. They could do some things with this roster to create enough salary cap space to go get a big player. If you were a big free agent right now, wouldn't you look at the possibility of teaming up with you and Rudy Gobert and saying, let's take that big three and go play anybody? Can you recruit? Do you think your job now over the next couple of years is to start, can we make the Jazz, can we make Salt Lake a destination place?
I think so. I definitely think so. I was the lead recruiter at Louisville. I think I signed with, what was it, 4 or 5 guys before I left. So I think I can recruit some guys. Coach P and Coach Kenny Johnson taught me some things. But I think, why not play with us? Like, you look at what we've done, you look at how we move the ball. Guys, we play with guys that don't care who scores the most, who rebounds the most, who has the most this, who's the most that. We play with guys that genuinely want to win. And I think if you're a free agent that wants to actually win ball games, and actually get to the finals and not just doing it for show, then where you want to be. And if you want to get better and develop, and we have the perfect coaches for that, because you look at Gordon Hayward, but between rookie year and then him becoming an all-star, like, it's night and day. Myself, this season, it's night and day. You look at the first 10 games of the season, look at the last 10 games, I don't even recognize myself, So you can only imagine what we'd be able to do if we, had that one big piece, which would be great. If not, then, like I said, we trust our abilities to do well, but it would be great to have that one piece like you're talking about.
I heard your buddy Paul George might be a free agent in July.
Yeah, he's due. I think it's in July 1st. So
I think that's the date.
I'm definitely going to have that conversation. So.
When you go back to Greenwich, I know you went back and did a basketball camp around your hometown, and I saw there was a clip. I think your middle school coach was there and talking about you. People always, I think, want to see that a kid from there hasn't changed, that you went to Louisville, you get drafted in the lottery, and then you have a season in which you might be Rookie of the Year. You said you're taking on Paul George and James Harden in the playoffs. When you come back there, can you sense that they're feeling around going, is he still the same kid? Are you asking yourself if you're the same kid?
I think when I go back and the way I act kind of shows to me and to everyone that I'm the same person. I try my best. The one thing, it's got me into trouble because I try and take pictures with every single person that I encounter. And I'm at the point now in my life, I'm blessed and thank God that I can't do that. I can't take pictures with the hundreds of people that are waiting. I got places to go. But I remember a certain player in the league, I asked for a photo one day, and he said, yeah, and I went to get a pen, and he turned around and he was gone. So that memory stuck with me for my whole life. So as when it comes to far as taking pictures and with little kids, like, I'm never changing. My attitude will never change. I try to be, my mindset has always been, if you see me walking down the street and don't know who I am, I probably want to be the most respectable person you've ever met. And I don't want you to know that I'm an athlete. And I want to think, oh, is he a lawyer? Is he something like this? Like, I speak well. I try and speak well, try and act a certain way. I don't dress crazy, but I just try to be the same person that I've always been. The only difference is I have a little bit more money, so I can dress fancier now.
You did wear those Adidas sweatshirts.
Yes.
Yeah.
I definitely did.
Whose idea was that?
It was, I think it was a team thing. It actually, it came at the right time, because he said what he said on ESPN, that interview with Chris Haynes.
Mm-hmm.
And then was it that next game? I had it ready available. So it kind of worked out perfectly. It wasn't the plan. I don't think that was the plan for it to happen, but I was going to wear it anyway. But, yeah.
Were you pissed off after you heard that interview?
Man, it's funny to me. It's just funny. Like, it's naive, but it is what it is. And I don't think us, as a lot of rookies in this league, that I don't think we base it off of what one guy says. I think we did our own thing. We don't need the approval of one guy to validate what we've done. And you look at what Kuzma's done, Fox, Dennis, man, Jason. Like, look what Jason's done, So we don't really need the approval for us to get us upset. It's one guy's opinion. And as I've realized in being in the league, everybody has an opinion. So
I want to go back to one thing you were talking about, of trying to take every picture and not want to disappoint people who now the lines are longer, there's more people reaching at you. When stardom comes, like, kind of as rapidly as it did for you last year, is the hardest thing you have to do is to start to learn to say no to things.
Yes, 100%. I'm walking around with my family, and I'm in states that I'm thinking don't even know who I am. Even when I went on my overseas trip, I have kids calling out my name and yelling out Rookie of the Year, and I'm like, man, like now I'm at a point where people really do know who I am. So like now it's like what do? I'm used to the few 2 or 3 photos a day, cool, nothing. Now I'm getting 15, 20 photos a day, and if I take one photo with one, now it's 3 people really like, oh, that's who that is. Another 3 or 4 photos. So it's tough because I don't like saying no, but in order for you, and even throughout the season, saying no to commitments, saying no to appearances, you're realizing that your time is the most valuable thing, and if you're out doing 18 appearances in a week, you're going to burn yourself out. And if you got to go play 30, 40 minutes a night, you're not going to be able to do all that. So I think that's one thing that kind of, to me, changed between November and now.
And is it that you sort of have to keep kind of centering yourself and saying, like, I've got to focus on the craft. I can't. There is a balance. You do want to do things. We were at All-Star Weekend, and you won slam dunk, and it opens up, like, opportunities to be able to do some things. But I guess it's trial and error to figure out what you can handle.
It definitely is. And the biggest thing with me was, with me getting hurt, sitting out for a month, I'm, like, itching to get back. And I'm texting my coach, Johnny Bryant, and I'm like, man, I feel like I'm not doing anything. And the one thing I've learned is you need a break. Because if it was up to me, I would have been playing a month ago. I would have been playing, like, no problem. You know what I mean? So it's always time to work on your craft, but you got to, like, I'm traveling a lot this summer, but at the same right, I'm like, I got up this morning, got a lift in, got a workout in, got rehab in, and, making sure I got the right guys traveling with me to make sure I take care of my body. So I think that's the biggest thing. Even when you can't go on the court, you got to be able to work on your craft in other ways, whether it's a massage, cold tub, weight training, rehab, eating right, which I haven't fully grasped yet. I'm getting better at it, but those little things really, really have an effect on you.
You talked about Kobe, and you see it with LeBron, and there's things you can get away with in your 20s physically that you get to a point in your career where guys who don't take care of their bodies in that way, the decline is fast. Like, is that something you watch?
Yeah, that's I've talked to several NBA Hall of Famers about it, and that's the one thing they keep constant, because I'm a guy who eats pancakes and eggs every morning with bacon, with a lot of syrup. So that's all I eat, and right now I can do it, but I think that's probably the only immature part about myself, is that I can't give up the pancakes, to be honest. But I look at those guys and I see what they're eating right now. I'm a picky eater too, so now I'm like, I don't know if I can do it, but that's what separates guys, and people don't understand that. That's what really separates, having certain foods that help rehab your foot, not and things that don't accelerate the process of getting back. There's so many different things that you can do to help your body that I'm in the process of learning.
How do you decide, like, among the guys you compete with, who you can ask a question of? Like, where some guys might not want to ever lose an edge against you and say, I'm not helping that kid with anything. Do you find guys who just are not open to it, or do you have to build a relationship first before you start asking?
I haven't found one yet. They could be faking it with me, but I'm the type of guy that asks questions. If you give me an answer that you want to hear it, that's fine. But I did my part. You don't want to get better as you ask. You take pieces from everybody's game and make it yours. And at the end of the day, like, we all want to compete against each other, but I feel like this is like a brotherhood, like off the floor, whatever happens on the floor, like, we can get into a fight on the court, but after the game, like, it's a game. This is life. I'm trying to better myself in life, and I feel like people and guys in this league, they understand that. I think maybe not with everybody. Maybe there's stuff that continues off the floor, but I'm a guy that once we leave the floor, like, we're colleagues. I got to ask you if you need help with a paper, like if you're working at a desk, you need help with filing something. You can ask your coworker to help you out. So that's what I'm doing. I need help with let's say like a guy like CP, like how did you, like, he stretches all the time, like, how did you develop that? Who told you that? Why do you do it? Why do you stretch this? Why do you stretch that? There's so many different things that I ask people that, some guys are afraid to ask. Like, there's no need. Like, they say no, it's not a problem. But I think My thing has been just trying to take pieces from everybody and make it into my own.
Donovan, this was awesome, and I appreciate you taking time and just stay away from my job for a while, will you?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Donovan. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Woj Pod. A big thank you to my guest today, Utah Jazz star Donovan Mitchell. Remember, you can subscribe and listen to new and archived episodes of this podcast wherever you get your podcast. You can find us on Apple Pods or wherever else you listen to your shows. And, of course, a big thank you to our sponsors today, Freshly, Full Sail University, and ZipRecruiter. Be sure to support them the way they support us here at the Woj Pod. We'll catch you next time.